welcome to the Q Football Review. It is the 2020 offseason. Sorry, I've been away for an awful long time, but I'm back and got ready with some fresh ideas. So the first thing we're going to talk about is there are 3 points that I am following heading into this offseason. The combine has just wrapped up, and now teams are gearing up for free agency. And speaking of free agency, let's talk about the biggest free agents, the QB quarterback class. There are a lot of big names that are actually hitting free agency for the first time in their careers, including none other than the one that everybody's talking about is Tom Brady. So it's really going to be interesting whether or not the Patriots decide to resign him, because this is all falls on Bill Belichick, whether or not he wants Brady back. Belichick, he has that old school mentality of I'd rather release a player 2 years too early than release a player a year too late. So if Belichick feels like Tom Brady's lost a step in any shape, form, or fashion, you best believe he's signing with a new team. So then also we do have a lot of other big names out there. Teddy Bridgewater, he's a free agent. He went 5-0 in replacement of Drew Brees. Drew Brees has already said that he's staying with the Saints. And then also another name that's kind of gone under the radar that no one's really talking about is Phillip Rivers, which I really find interesting because Phillip Rivers, even though he did lose a step last year, people can say, oh, he didn't have the weapons or things of that nature. But Phillip Rivers, I still think he is a major upgrade at the QB position than half the team's QB situation. So I think a lot of people would rather get an aging Tom Brady or an aging Phillip Rivers over what they have in their quarterback situation. So that's going to be interesting to keep a close eye on. The second thing that's going to potentially impact not only this season but next offseason is the new collective bargaining agreement, or the CBA. Now the players are set to vote on it within the next couple weeks. There hasn't been a date set as of now, but also this was passed by the owners. It wasn't unanimous. There was one team member that did vote against it, and it passed by the Players Association of a vote of 17-14. So this isn't a huge popular slam dunk for the owners right now, and there's been a lot of key players that have already said that they're going to come out and vote against it. There is one key player that just said the other day, Nate Soldier, that said he is going to vote for the CBA. So it is going to be very interesting whether this passes. So the one sticking point that a lot, especially of our big stars, have is that the owners want a 17-week season, where players are like, we don't want that extra week. We don't want that extra game. So it's going to be very interesting whether or not that passes, and whether or not the players feel like they have enough compensation. Also, another key thing that would affect it is there would be an additional playoff team added on both the AFC and NFC side that can make the playoffs. And there would only be one team that would get a bye week instead of two teams that would get a bye week. So that is also something that's going to be very interesting. And if this CBA does not pass by the players, the owners have already said we're not negotiating until the end of the 2020 season. So it could very well be 2021 starts at work stoppage and in a lockout. So it's going to be very interesting how this plays out, because this is going to, either way, this is going to affect going into the 2021 NFL season. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about, it has nothing to do with the NFL, and in fact, it's the XFL, and actually how exciting it is. One of the things that I have to admit is the pace is definitely a lot faster because of the 24-second clock. So you're forced to get plays in a lot sooner, so the pace does seem like it's a lot better. And also, I'm really curious whether or not if the NFL is going to adopt some of these rules where the XFL, there is no extra point situation, which I completely love, by the way. So you have an option of either getting 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. So either you start the ball at the 2-yard line, you start the ball at the 5-yard line, or the 10-yard line, and you got one shot at getting it in. So it actually makes it a little more interesting instead of an automatic extra point, unless you have a terrible kicker, and then it's like, oh, okay, drama. I don't even know if this guy can hit the side of a barn. But the XFL is definitely proven. And if the NFL goes into a lockout, the XFL can possibly take a step forward going into the 2021 season. Because I've been watching a few games, and some of these teams are actually selling out or getting good record attendance. So the XFL is definitely making their mark, and it definitely have a lot of rules that I definitely like. And then the biggest rule that the XFL has is their overtime. I have yet to watch an overtime game, but it sounds a lot more exciting than what we currently have. This is a shootout NHL style format. Each team has 5 shots at getting a touchdown. They start the ball at the 5 yard line, and you have one play to make a touchdown. Best out of 5 wins. Let me tell you, if that's not playoff, can you imagine the NFL having that type of rule in a playoff type atmosphere? One shot to get it in, best out of 5 wins. And then after that, the best part about it is if no one has scored, then it goes into sudden death. You keep trying until somebody scores. So there are no ties in the XFL. So with that being said, that wraps up my conclusion of the 3 things that I'm totally looking into. So stay with me, because in the next couple of weeks, we're going to bring back Uplift Fan Friday for that team that their season 2019 didn't go quite as well as we think. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows who I'm nominating for our next Uplift Fan Friday. And that's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. That's right, Bengals fans. I'm doing an Uplift Fan Friday for you in the next couple weeks to be able to lift your spirits up, because 2019 wasn't exactly your year. So hopefully 2020 will be. So until then, thank you for tuning in.